Hey guys, welcome to today's video. You know, a big topic when we're talking about working in a nursery, starting a nursery, building a nursery business is what are the nursery's expenses? Like, what do we actually spend money on out here besides plants? Obviously, there are other expenses, and I made a supply run yesterday, so I got a big haul here of just some very common things that we use in our nursery, and every nursery is different, but I want to just show you today what a haul of nursery supplies looks like, at least for us, and give you an idea of what you might expect to pay for some of this. Now the first thing I'm going to show you, it's really more just say, hey, here it is. I'm not using this right now to show you, but this is another roll of woven ground cover, and it is 12 feet wide and it's 300 feet long. So, you know, you get about 3,600 square feet of coverage with this. It'd probably be a little bit less than that, but you get the idea. But we use this for so many different things. But primarily we use it as a floor, literally as a ground cover, a place for us to put plants, and we use that so weeds aren't constantly growing, grass isn't constantly growing, and I don't know of anything that works better. It works better than using wood chips, it works better than using pallets. Those other things can work and serve their purposes in some context, but this works better than anything I know of or have seen or have had suggested to me. So we talk about ground cover quite a bit, but you know, it's an absolute crucial part of a nursery is figuring out what you're going to put down to put your plants on. And for us, we use this, and we don't even have a specific purpose for it right now, but we just know we're going to need it, so we always try to keep it on hand. The second thing that we picked up yesterday, I got all this from a nursery supply place, so quite a long drive for me. Took, you know, most of the day to get it and get back, but I bought 8 bundles. This is called a bundle. This is just how these often come on a string. Sometimes it's called a string of pots, but a bundle of pots. But these are 2-gallon pots. So, you know, we're gearing up. I've mentioned this. We're gearing up for a big hydrangea sale next year, next summer. So we're still talking, you know, 18 months from now, but I'm starting to get my pots together for that now. And these are 2-gallon pots. These are like 41 cents each, I believe was the price for them. I got 8 bundles of them. That's about 1,100 pots. So, you know, that's one of those things that a nursery can never have enough of. And at this point, you know, being in the nursery business and traveling all over the place to wholesale nurseries and visiting nurseries, every nursery's got to have a big pile of pots. And, you know, you'll go out to a big wholesale nursery and there'll be tens and tens of thousands of pots. I mean, it's like a whole mountain of pots that they'll have. And, you know, my pot pile here that I have, just at our own nurseries, you know, it's a lot just for a small nursery like this. And, you know, this is one of those things, your small containers that you grow stuff out in and you wind up potting them up later. You know, the area around your potting bench with your trays and, you know, all of the things that you're doing to pot up and grow plants out tends to turn into a disaster from time to time. I know that mine does, and I mean, here's a look at what happens beside my potting bench when I'm working on potting for a big project or for a long time, or just have neglected an area. But pots are always a critical part of a nursery, and if you're actively growing plants and you're selling a lot of plants, pots, you just can't have enough of them. So one of the supplies that a nursery is going to always have as a pretty significant expense, no matter what size your nursery, no matter what size or what kind of plants you're growing, pots, containers, whatever you call them, they're going to always be a fairly significant expense. Now this in my hand is just a bamboo stake, and you know, nursery suppliers, they always carry bamboo stakes, and you can get them in just about every size you can imagine, from the size of a pencil up to something that looks more like a small pole. But I just bought 25 of these yesterday. You can see them right back there. And we've got to replace a bunch of our trees down our fence line where we had some bare root arborvitas that died during the summer last year. So I'm going to just put bare root ones directly in the ground, and we're going to need to stake them. So this is really not something that I normally use in my nursery, but it's one of those things that growing plants, whether they're ultimately going to be used to take cuttings from or whatever, nursery stakes, just one of those things I needed this trip. Now another thing that I bought, and I've never used this before, I've never worked with it before, but we're about to figure out exactly how, is this is called bench wire. This is a roll of wire that is 4 feet wide and 100 feet long, and we're going to use this as tabletop material. So just imagine we'll take some 2x4s, 2x whatever size lumber we need, and build the framing out for it, and then we'll just cover the tops of however many tables we want to build with this wire, and we'll build it, you know, 2 or 3 feet tall, and we'll take the wire tables and then we'll use them to sit like our annuals and our vegetable starts and that type of thing on top of them, just so we don't have to sit quite so many things on the ground. We think it will just help display them better. It'll protect them from things like ants a little bit better, and we just think it's a good addition to our nursery to build some kind of legitimate looking tables, some things that aren't quite so bootlegged looking, and looking forward to doing that. But that's a purchase that I've never made, and we'll show you those tables as we get those built. Now, one of the things that we're going to do new this year, we've never tried it. We'll show you all of it as we go, but we're going to try to start vegetable plants from seeds this year, and we're going to be starting those here in just a few weeks. Right now it's mid-January, and we're going to probably be starting on those in 2 to 4 weeks, especially for some of the seeds that will be slow to germinate, but I don't have the supplies and the stuff necessary for that, so I kind of had to start this one from scratch. So I want to show you these containers that I'm going to be using for that. Now, I've already got some 72 count plug trays that I just have used for years for different things in my nursery, but in addition to those, I bought these little 2.5 inch pots. Now, I'm going to be careful about opening this box here. We're going to have a pot avalanche, but I think there's you know, I don't even know how many there are. I think there's 1,900 of them in here in this box. But anyway, there's these little small 2.25 inch pots, 2.5. I can't even remember what size they are. But anyway, that's just the size of them this way. But we're going to be growing vegetables in these, vegetable starts in these, and we're really looking forward to doing that. And over here are just the trays that these will go in. It's 32 per tray. So as we are starting our vegetable plants, that's the way that we're going to do it. We're going to be starting them indoors. Again, it's a new thing for us. I have a seed mixture, which is right up there, and I'll show you that in just a second. But, you know, we're going to do everything we can to do as well as we can with it, given that we have no experience with it. So I'm looking forward to learning kind of a new process, but there's materials, supplies involved in doing it. So that's what these small pots are all about. And I mentioned that we're going to be starting vegetables, and this is the mix that we've decided to start our vegetable plants in. And this is Burger. It's BM2 is the, I guess it's the name of the mixture, and it's just a germination mix for seeds. And you know, we'll talk about this more later, but this is just what I chose to get. Look, everything in the nursery business, almost everything, there's more than one way to do it. And I'm aware that you don't have to have this to start seeds in. I get it, and I know it. And that's one thing that people really like to argue and fuss and debate about is, well, do it this way, my way's the best, or you should grow it in this way's the best. Well, there probably are best ways and not best ways to do a lot of things, but sometimes it's just, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat, I guess you might say. So this is what we're using, and these cost about $35 a bale, and this will, it's a 3.8 cubic feet bale, and I think this expands out when it's moistened to, like, I forgot, 7 or 8 cubic feet or whatever it is, but I bought 2 of these, and these will go a really long way. So, you know, by the time you start working that out to how much do you have per plant, on a per plant basis, you're just talking about a few pennies per plant. So this is kind of a new supply for us, but you know, in order to get our seed starting going, there's just some stuff we had to do up front, and this is one of them, and I'm looking forward to trying this out. And the last thing I want to show you in these boxes right here, now this is not exciting at all. So, you know, if you're looking for excitement, you need to go click on somebody else's video, but it is a no less crucial part of any nursery, and that's labels. Now, I get asked pretty often, what do you use for labeling? And it's embarrassing to tell you what I do, but I just cut up vinyl window blinds and take a number 2 pencil and just write on them. That's what I normally do. Well, I need something smaller for these little vegetable cups. So I've gotten these 2 boxes here of these little labels, and you know, they're pretty small. They are 4 inch by 5/8 of an inch, and I think there's 1,000 of them in the box, and you know, you can kind of see there the size of those that I'll be sticking in our little cups. So I've got a couple of thousand of these, so there's that. And then these are going to be for our fruit trees that we have coming in. These are labels that are made to wrap, so you just wrap it around itself and you stick the tag in right into that hole, then write on there whatever you want to write on there, and you got yourself some really good labels for trees. But, you know, all your plants need labeling of some sort. It doesn't matter how crude your setup is. You know, you can pay, you know, 25 cents a piece or something and get professional made labels with pictures on them and all that. I choose to not do that, but some way or other you got to make yourself some labels. So this is the way that I've chosen to do it with a new project, and, you know, going into the future, I don't know how we'll do it, but there's a million different ways to make labels. So again, these things are fairly cheap. I mean, these things wind up costing probably 2 cents per label, something like that, maybe 3 cents at the most per label. So you always have expenses, and you got to manage your expenses versus what you expect to make. But, you know, you start adding up all these expenses, and, you know, next thing you know, you got more in your plants than you think you do, so you always have to watch that. Well, all right, guys, it's probably worth mentioning that this is about $1,500 worth of stuff. So over 1,000 2-gallon pots, and, you know, almost 2,000 little square pots, 3,600 feet of ground cover, some stakes, some germination mix. It adds up to about $1,500. So, you know, give or take a little bit, and your prices are going to vary by location. And if you choose to have all this stuff shipped to you, it'd probably cost, I don't know, $600 or $800 to have all this shipped. That's why I chose to just go pick the stuff up from a supplier. So all of that said, I hope this is in some way helpful to you. I appreciate you being here. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.